poise, and performance. And I'm going to give you some best practices for each of those. And if you leave here with nothing else, how about this one? Progress, not perfection. This is not math. This is not an exact science up here. This is being organic and reading the room and thinking on your feet and maybe tripping up a little bit and maybe you say a couple of times, but it's also really amazing and beautiful and wonderful when you do it with presence. So I don't want you to worry about the next time you perform in any setting just being this robot, just reading something without emoting. It's okay that it doesn't work out perfectly. I mean, you guys already found out about my irrational fear of clowns. That's fine, we're still doing this thing. Just know that the most important part of this is to be all in and give value, which leads me to the first P, preparation. And anytime you speak to anybody in any use case, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, who is the audience? Why do they care? How can I enrich them? When I set out to create content for people, I always think about the ending first. I think about when you all are going to your car and you're talking to each other about what you learned from my presentation, what are you saying? Are you inspired? Are you educated? Are you informed? Once I'm really clear on that, then I start creating my content. So first start with the end, think about the audience and how you can serve them. Then you think about why you specifically. What is your unique value? Your unique storytelling perspective. You don't have to be the world's foremost authority in the topic. It's not that big of a deal. You just need to have unique perspective, unique skill, unique storytelling, and really lean into that, figure out what that is, and use that to cultivate and to enrich your content. Now, you gotta start writing stuff down. Anybody here in the wing it camp, I got this, I'm charming, I'm smart, I don't need a repair, repairing's overrated, I just wing it. That is suboptimal. Let's not do that. If you've been to a wedding and you've seen somebody wing a wedding speech, you know how catastrophic that can be. So I implore you, even if you are super creative, to take some time and actually put some thought into what you're going to say. Now, you then get to choose if you want to memorize it or if you want to be scripted. Both of them are fun. And I could spend a ton of time talking about that, but just high level tip for memorization. Do yourself a favor and do not try to memorize every single word. Because at best, you'll be a robot if you get every word right. And at worst, you'll forget an adjective in paragraph 5 and you will fall apart because you were married to the exact words. And I have seen it happen, and that is a terrifying feeling. So what you want to do instead, you'd like to memorize the beginning so you can come out here and really connect. You'd like to memorize the end. And then you want to memorize the transitions between sections. And in those sections, trust yourself to be a storyteller, an ad-lib, but just know how you're getting from one part of the thing to the next part of the thing, because there may be a moment when you blank out. But if you know how you're going to get to the next section, so you skip a few things. Nobody knows except you. You'll be safe. If you're going to be scripted, again, memorize the beginning and memorize the end. You do not want to come out here, take out a piece of paper and go, great to see all of you. So excited to connect and really have an impactful time. That's not great. So you want to be able to look people in the eye in the beginning and in the end. And as you're reading your script, allow yourself some opportunities to look up. Memorize, stack some sentences together that you don't have to get word for word, but you get the general gist, and that's when you can look up and you connect on those sentences. And you can even, as you're reading, memorize the end of the sentence, so you're looking down, and then you're up for the last few words, and then you're back down. Play with that. Just make sure to remain present. And now the last part of preparation is rehearsing and watching yourself. And we all love watching ourselves on camera, right? Yeah, people hate that. I've been in TV and media my whole life. I still don't like it. But super important to do this. The only way to really get better is to watch yourself. But two things. One, please be nice. This can't be, oh my God, I'm so ugly. What is with that shirt? Oh, I hate my voice. That's when people always say, I hate my voice. I don't really know what to tell you. Maybe you could fix it a little bit, but your voice is your voice, and I'm sure that most people don't hate it, so get over it and give yourself a break. And the other thing I want to tell you is, when you're watching yourself on camera, do it two ways. One, the regular way, where you're just watching and listening, and then the second way, turn the volume off and watch it on mute, because you've got to pay attention to your nonverbals. Nonverbal communication is over 70% of communication. So really take a look at how you're telling a story with your hands and your face. All right, on to the second P, poise. And the first one I was just talking about earlier. If we agree that the message is for the audience, that immediately should take away some of your anxiety. Because it's not so much about you being up here and being funny and charming and witty, and that's all great if you are, I hope you are, but it's about value. Your goal should be to hit the audience with so much value, specific and unique and beneficial to them, and as long as you're doing that, they're really not going to care about your genes. So lead with value, and that immediately will take some of the pressure off you. Create a permission slip. If anybody here ever has a crisis of confidence before they're going to perform, maybe they struggle with imposter syndrome, which is totally normal and totally cool, allow me to share a quick story. And please use this if you feel that this will help you. So I'm on Slime Time Live on Nickelodeon in my mid-20s, and everything's great. And the show ends, and I move to LA, and I'm like 26. And I get off the plane, and I have this attitude of, where's the Tonight Show? Why am I not hosting it yet? What's going on? Get my agent on the phone. I have like all this confidence in the world. So I'm living in LA, I got this fancy agent, I got this great life, and I'm auditioning for all these things, and I'm not booking any of it. Nothing is happening. And then I'm not even getting callbacks. And then I'm starting to lose a lot of self-confidence. And then one night, I'm at the Roosevelt Hotel, and I see my agent. And I walk over, and I say hi. And he says, hi. And then he walks away. And then I realize my agent has no idea who I am. And that's about as terrifying as it can get, considering that guy is in charge of my career. So I end up getting another audition a couple of weeks later that his assistant now got for me, because I don't even get him anymore. Now I get the assistant. And I'm sitting in the waiting room, and I got no motion. But I'm just trying to figure out some way to regain my confidence. So I take out a pen and a paper, and I start writing down my resume. I just start writing down my career highlights just for myself. And then I'm reading them, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I've actually done a lot of cool things. This is actually pretty great. And I took the piece of paper, and I folded it up, and I put it in my pocket, and I walked into the room, and I killed the audition. And I still did not get the job. But I started doing that every single time. Walk in, write down my resume, read it, put it in my paper, go in, and crush the audition. And then I started booking stuff regularly, and I know that it was because of that. So if you ever struggle with confidence or feeling like you're an imposter, I know there's a lot of young people out here, trust yourself that you got it, and if you need a reminder, just take a look at your LinkedIn page, or better yet, write it down. I'm gonna give you guys a breathing tip that I just did 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, and I've been telling people to do it for years, and I think it's great, and I hope it helps. If you have some anxiety before presenting in a boardroom or on Zoom or on a stage or TV or wherever, give yourself a minute or two to do this breathing exercise. Game changer. Box breathing. Breathe in for 4. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4. Breathe out for 4 and hold for 4. 4 counts of 4. That is going to be a total reset of everything going on physiologically. And let me add a twist. In my experience coaching this, and I bet you most people in this room would agree, most people tell me that they're most nervous when they start. As they get going, they're fine. I see you nodding. So I hear it all the time. The beginning's always the hardest part. So when you're breathing, before you go out there, just think about how you are going to start. If you've got a 10-minute presentation and you're 2 minutes out, the math isn't going to work. You can't think about minute 8. You can't think about your big ending. Think about your first line. Think about where you're going to stand, where you're going to look, what you're going to say. Because this is a momentum game. And if you can start strong, you're home free. So really try that. I think that's going to make a big difference. And then the last thing is, through all of that, you're still going to have some nerves. Guess what? That's awesome. Because what you don't want to be as a public speaker is flat. Being monotone, being boring is the worst thing you can be as a speaker. So take that nervous energy and just use it as energy. You've got to figure out how to handle it, how to manage it so you're not too big or talking too quickly, but don't run from nervous energy. Use it to your benefit. I'm telling you, it will help. Now on to the final P, performance. This is the fun part. This is the reward for all the other stuff I just talked about for 10 minutes. Now you get to actually talk and move and inspire people. So the first thing I say is, and I'm going to date myself here, be Billy Joel. Does everyone know who Billy Joel is? I know there's a lot of young people. Yeah. For all you youngsters, look him up. He's really good. He's, one of the all-time greats. My point is, he's been singing the greatest hits catalog for 40, 50 years. How many times has that guy sang Piano Man? I have seen him in concert, I'm going to say 20 times. Every time I've seen him, he's amazing. He pours his heart out to all of the songs that maybe somewhere deep down he's a little sick of singing. But it doesn't matter, because that's his problem. That is not the audience's problem. So on days where you're gonna, by the way, this is gonna be a great problem that you're gonna have. You're gonna get so successful at your thing that you're gonna be saying the same thing hundreds of times to different investors and different groups, and you're gonna be like, gotta go do this again? Can't believe all this public speaking. But on those days where you're just not feeling it, think about the fact that the audience, that specific audience, has never heard it before. And be great for them. And if you need to change the language around a little bit so it feels fresh to you, by all means do that. But just remember that once it's over, you can never get that experience back. They're never going to get their time back. So you owe it to them to be great and treat every time like it's the first time. Appearance matters, duh, but it also matters to you. I wear slacks and dress shoes when I'm on Zoom. I do push-ups before a phone call. I wear cologne and brush my teeth on a social media video. That may sound insane. Saying it out loud, it actually does sound insane. But it makes me feel better about myself as a presenter and a performer. And again, on days where maybe you're just not feeling it, that really matters. Whatever you can do to give yourself a little bit of an edge. Does anybody struggle with and so and like and Yes, we all at a time or another have struggled with that. Best way to get through that is to pause, to embrace pausing. You're gonna have to practice it. You can't just decide to pause when you're talking to people on stage or in a boardroom and then just go say 74 times at home. You're gonna have to really practice it. But pausing does so many wonderful things for you. It gets you out of the crutches. It helps you control the narrative so you don't feel rushed to answer someone's question on their timeline. You can sit in it for a minute. And if you do it right, it builds dramatic intensity. So really learn how to pause effectively, be comfortable in the silence. And then the second thing is inflection. Using your voice to tell a story, to match punctuation, to pause, on a question mark to inflect up, on an exclamation point to land a little harder. Take people on a ride with you, because that's the really fun stuff. And that's where watching yourself and listening to yourself when you rehearse, that's where you're gonna learn these things. Close your eyes and hear how you tell a story. And you're gonna see, you don't always have to go big. Sometimes you can be quiet and slow, and that's amazing storytelling. And that's when you really own the content, when you can take people on a ride with you with your voice. And then the last thing I'll say is, appropriately enough, how do you know when to stop talking? Anybody an over-talker? You're answering a question and you can't stop answering a question, and you're in your head going, for the love of God, please stop talking. Somebody pull a fire alarm. Why can't I stop talking? Yeah, okay. Quickly on that, what you want to do is try to restructure how you approach the answer, which is to say, lead with the answer. Lead with the strong stuff. A lot of people kind of meander until they get to the big stuff. No, lead with the power, lead with the strong answer, and then you'll have a little bit of time to maybe tell a story or an anecdote or explain it or nothing. Trust that the audience, your audience, whomever they are, trust that they get it, give them credit, and trust yourself that you explained it correctly. And if it's happening in real time or it's snowballing and you can't do any of that stuff I just talked about because it's actually happening, don't panic. Usually we notice it before the audience notices it, that we're over talking. Just find a place in your head where you think you can stop, and then stop. Don't stop, stop. And that's it, and nobody will ever know. And I want to leave you with the greatest quote in public speaking history, Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is the whole ballgame. This whole thing is about storytelling, so go tell stories and have fun.